Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're doing an update, and I'm going to view this as kind of the roundup for matters involving the automatic tourist visa extension associated with COVID-19 or coronavirus. And for those of you who are unaware, this has been quite an issue of importance for the expat community here in Thailand. It's also been an issue for which I've taken a lot of flack, especially in the last roughly 8 hours since the prior posting we did on this topic. And I'll get into that more toward the end of this video, but let's go ahead and deal with where things stand as of the time of this video. I'm going to go ahead and throw this first one up on the screen. Immigration Bureau announcement. So quoting directly, announcing the latest visa relief measures on April 7th, 2020. And I'm here to say I did not see this as of April 7, 2020. We were aware of the promulgated cabinet resolution, but we had yet to see the fully implemented regulations. But moving forward, the person whose visas has expired from 26th of March 2020 will be automatically extended to 30th of April 2020. There is no need to apply for visa extension at immigration office for this period and will not be fined 500 baht per day for this case. Aliens who are due for 90-day reports between 26th of March 2020 and 30th of April 2020 are temporarily exempted from reporting in this period until further notice. Aliens who are holding border passes will be allowed to stay in Thailand for now. However, aliens with border passes must depart Thailand within 7 days of the border crossing point's opening date. Aliens are advised to follow announcements regarding immigration measures closely for updates. Currently, measures announced until April 30th, 2020, or further updates. So, here's where we stand. As previously discussed, it appears that there is an exemption that is being offered, basically, for lack of a better term, a sort of amnesty, if you will, for those who are here in Thailand and have had their visas expire, or they've had to deal with an extension that is occurring after the 26th of March. As I'll get into in more detail in another video, it looks as though regulatorily this does not necessarily apply to non-immigrant visas, although in theory it could. I'm going to get into that in a specific video. For this video, I'm talking to tourists right now. Automatic tourist visa extension. If you are in Thailand and your visa expires between the 26th of March and the 30th of April, the expiration will be waived, for lack of a better term, and there will be no overstay and no fine accrued between the window 26th March and April 30th. Again, I think this applies to visas on arrival, visa exemption stamps, and tourist visas specifically. I do not believe that this currently applies to non-immigrant visas, or if it does, it only does so in a limited manner insofar as, for example, a multiple entry non-immigrant visa, if it expired between now and April 30th, or between, I should say, March 26th and April 30th, I think from these regulations you could argue, yes, that person would not be considered an overstay during that period, but they would have to immediately get out. If you're looking to deal with your extension during this period, I think you need to go ahead and deal with that. I'm going to get into all of that in another video in much more detail, but if you want to extend, it looks to me like it's possible to extend. The other thing to take away from this video, and we have spoken directly to Thai Immigration, multiple officers, and it is our understanding that notwithstanding the fact that this extension is sort of an ad hoc extension, immigration does not want to see people who are covered by this. And what I mean to say is, for example, let's say your visa was set to expire April 5th, but you want to extend it to May 5th. We have been told directly by immigration officers that that visa falls into this window, and that visa should not be, an extension should not be sought. And that was actually a bad example. Let me back up for a minute. Let's say your visa is going to expire April 15th, and you want to get a 30-day extension, for example. It might be an exemption stamp. You want to get a 30-day extended to May 15th. It falls within the March 26th to April 30th. The policy reason for this new initiative is they do not want people down there for fear that coronavirus could spread. So they do not want to see people down there to do an extension that might take them out past April 30th. If you have an exemption stamp visa on arrival or a tourist visa that would expire in this window, don't go down there. There's an affirmative discouragement, if you will, of people going down there. So they don't want you down there. That's what we've been told. We've talked to them directly. And I'll get into my detractors here in a minute. Yes, we do talk to immigration. No, we do not talk to them constantly. So let me get into this further. There was another notification. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here too. This is on the immigration website, immigration.go.th. Quoting directly, notification of the Ministry of Interior dated 7 April 2020 grants permission to foreigners of all nationalities residing in Thailand an automatic visa extension for all visa types, including visa on arrival, P30, PP14, PP30, PP90, which have not expired prior to March 26, 2020. So you will be able to reside in Thailand until April 30th, 2020 without having to apply for an extension. As we'll get into in another video, shortly to be released after this one, those who are in non-immigrant status and would otherwise be seeking their extensions, think it's a good idea to go ahead and continue doing that. This really should not be viewed as applying to you. Folks who, in my opinion, are somewhat on the, for lack of a better term, fence with respect to this are the non-immigrant visa categories, and specifically the multi-entry non-immigrant visas, the one-year visas issued that provide 90-day status upon entry. My staff looked at this announcement and they went ahead and we were talking about the Thai version versus the English version. In their opinion, this does not apply to non-immigrant categories. It only applies to visas on arrival, tourist visas, and the P30, PP14, PP30, and PP90. Those are visa exemption stamps. It does not directly apply to those who hold non-immigrant visas. For example, the non-immigrant B visa, the non-immigrant O visa, the non-immigrant ED visa. Those folks may have to deal with things as they otherwise would have had to deal with things. That being said, there is a lot of vagueness in this regulation with respect to that particular issue. I think you could argue perhaps those folks do go all the way to April 30 if they expire within the window. That being said, I think we're going to see how that plays out as a practical matter as time goes on. What I would take away from this video, and I'll get into it in more detail in another video, if you can extend in non-immigrant status, it's probably a good idea to do so if you want to stay. If, however, you're in non-immigrant status, you want to leave as soon as they lift the restrictions and it becomes possible to travel outside of Thailand, well, it may not be your cup of tea. It may not be the right thing for you. So that is basically what we're dealing with right now. And to be clear, folks do not have to go to Thai immigration. And this was the point. This created a bunch of consternation for me all day today. In fact, people calling me, yelling at me, and I'll get into that more in a minute, about this whole thing. When we were first looking at this, the head of the Immigration Bureau was quoted by Bangkok Post as saying, you need to extend, and then the extensions would roll over. When I was dealing with, what I usually do is the morning videos are usually set on an automatic timer to go up. And I may be revisiting whether or not I do that in the future, but most of the time it really hasn't proven to be a problem because not much changes in the overnight. We had done a video prior to seeing the new announcement promulgated where we talked about the prior article from the Bangkok Post that was quoting directly from the Thai immigration chief. And in that, it appeared that this was going to be a situation where, yes, you had to file for an extension initially, and then they would roll you over on a case-by-case basis as it was needed if this lockdown needed to continue. Apparently, that's not the case. Apparently, the As you can see, the announcement that's been promulgated states, no, you do not have to go in. And this is going to be just an automatic extension out to April 30th. And that being said, at the time I was doing the last video, and at the time I reviewed the announcement pretty late at night yesterday evening, there wasn't anything that I saw that caused me to contradict the putting up that video, because I felt that the logic was sound at the time we put it up. Now, I do apologize if that caused consternation throughout the day for folks. I'm not here, and I've been accused multiple times today of being here trying to panic people or something. That's not my function. That's not my purpose in doing this. Frankly, I'm kind of doing this, for lack of a better term, as a community service to the expat community to try and provide at least some clarity and insight with respect to where things stand with respect to visas amidst this coronavirus thing. Now, meanwhile, my position was, I was looking at it last night, and even in my own head, I said, there could be, this could end up being a situation where people don't have to go. After reading the announcement, it was so vague. My Thai attorneys here in the office, Thai staff here in the office that deal with immigration all the time, myself, we were all looking at the new announcement, and it seemed that based on the prior quotations regarding this whole issue that were made earlier in the week from the head of immigration, and I'm not trying to point him out, I'm just saying in the totality of the circumstances, it seemed like the best thing to presume, basically at the time I went to bed last night and set the timer up for that video to go online this morning, we felt the best thing to presume was, yeah, you probably will have to go in person into immigration. It turned out immigration came out and categorically denied that. They said, no, you do not have to go to in-person immigration to get this extension to April 30th, and that's great. We're all happy about that. Again, I'm sorry if it caused consternation throughout the day to folks who thought that they needed to go to immigration, but I would rather have said you need to go and you didn't need to go than have said you did not need to go, and it could have resulted in something even worse than the situation for an individual that we're currently in, which is this coronavirus, the lockdown, inability to travel, and then on top of it, you're in overstay. My job for my clients tends to be looking at worst case scenarios. I tried to do a balancing act last night when I was looking at, well, before basically I retired for the evening, and was looking at that announcement, and we had yet to see the specific regulations promulgated. We just saw sort of the catch-all announcement. It was vague. And, we did the best we could. That's all we can do in this world, is the best that we can. I'm not excusing myself. Again, if I did cause people to become upset about this or something, I do apologize to you. But I didn't, I came by it honestly. I'm not doing this out of some desire to cause people to be upset. We set it to automatically go up this morning. That was my best analysis as of this morning. I stood by it even as of the moment it went up, but we were later sort of refuted. And again, sorry about that, but we're doing the best that we can. A quote from one of the commenters I thought was very accurate, or I should say apt, for this video. Quoting directly, "Thank you again, Benjamin. To say it was vaguely worded is very diplomatic. I think it requires a complete rewrite, which is proofread by a native English speaker prior to it being published. It is about as clear as mud. I've gone over it and still don't know if I'm required to show up in person or not. My visa lawyer is confused. She is herself waiting to hear back directly from immigration. It appears that they are also confused. I have my own immigration insider who has not written back to me yet." So I'm not bringing this stuff up to point fingers at Thai immigration, to point fingers at anyone in the immigration apparatus, or to excuse myself or anything. This situation is unprecedented. This situation is chaotic. This situation has put people into positions that the immigration system has not had to deal with before on this basis at all. And everybody is doing the best that they can to deal with this as best they can. Yes, I understand the Thai immigration bureaucracy is not, by any stretch of the imagination, perfect. But neither is any single human either, as evidenced from the fact that I didn't call this correctly at the beginning, or at the beginning of the day, I should say. That being said, I stand by it because I would have rather said people need to go to immigration and be wrong about that than be wrong about people not needing to go to immigration, in the sense that saying people didn't need to go and it turns out, yes, you did need to go. Because as I said, that could compound one problem with another. You could end up with the problem of both dealing with this COVID issue and the lockdowns associated therewith, as well as being on overstay on top of everything else. And we do have clients that have overstay problems amidst all of this, and it is not pleasant. So, as I said, I've taken a lot of flack today. So folks have sent me emails being really difficult with me about it. Again, I came by it honestly. I apologize to folks who were upset about it. If you were upset, I'm sorry. I was even called today by somebody who just proceeded to yell at me for 2 or 3 minutes before, I basically just hung up on them. Frankly, I'd ask viewers, if you have a problem with what I'm doing here, write a comment, whatever. I do know I sometimes will remove comments that are basically unproductive. But if you do have a problem, make a comment, send me an email, downvote the videos if you don't like them. You certainly have that ability. But I'd really like it if you didn't call me and yell at me for trying to provide information to the community as best I can in order to keep people informed and provide as much information about a really difficult situation as I possibly can.